buying silver and gold, whether it's your first ounce or your 1,000th ounce, really is interesting because as time passes, you tend to start forgetting why it is you initially started. Now, whether, the catalyst was YouTube, whether it was a friend, whether it was something that you saw on TV and kind of decided to dive into, it's really interesting because even for myself, as I look back, like, why did I actually, purchase my first bullion, which for me, my first purchases were online. It's hard to think back, what prompted me to just start diving into it. I think actually, like a lot of you, the catalyst was YouTube and hearing and seeing, different videos about gold, silver, the pros, the cons, the good, the bad, mostly the good. And I think that the funny part is, especially for me, I noticed that once I started watching, stacking or, silver and gold videos, it really started to, take me down the rabbit hole of Mike Maloney telling me why the ancient Babylonians, had gold and silver and blah, 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 blah. And it's not that I really, went head first into gold and silver and like, this is going to protect me, this is going to, make me rich or things like that. It's just, I think as with anything, like most people have some type of a collectible aspect to them or things that they're interested in collecting. And I think stacking kind of falls right into that, into that wheelhouse of being able to collect something, but also, attaining value over time. Now, I will say, silver in general, in my opinion, is a really poor investment. The premiums really make it pretty hard to overcome. And I think that the other interesting thing that with regard to, stacking gold and silver is that people, especially stackers, tend to ignore the volatility of silver price as far as what an actual person, you, buying and selling silver would actually look like, meaning that you have to pay the premium up front. There's nothing that you're going to buy that's not going to have the premium, so you're going to be underwater from day one. But then, depending on how you sell, which most of you are going to sell, back to an LCS or a pawn shop or something like that, they're not going to give you the premium back. They're going to give you spot, and they may give you $1 over or something like that if it's, if you're lucky, you have a good relationship, whatever the case is. But most of you are going to get screwed and hosed. Now, the flip side of that is you'll have people who say, well, I've been stacking for 30 years and my stack is way above what I paid for it. Yes. But really think about that in context. Most of that is actually from the last couple of years. Most of those stackers were pretty much break even or barely above water before the pandemic. And the pandemic kind of really put it on everybody's radar. Look, silver, jumped 40% in spot price, almost doubled. Actually, it did double, right? It did double at a time and went even higher than that. But what kind of gets lost on the stacking community is the other side of the coin, that, from its peaks in 2020, it's come way down in price, and the premiums have only gotten higher, and it's kind of really watered down, the attractiveness of being a stacker. This here is the new Kookaburra, I believe, 2023. Nice piece, just added. Thank you, Atmix. I loved overpaying for it, but I don't mind. As long as I can get what I want, I really don't care. Anyway, the interesting thing, though, is I think for most people, once you really get into stacking, you really do start to forget why it was you started. I hear so many people say, like, well, my son told me, I should be buying gold and silver. Your son's a moron. No, you should not be buying gold and silver, especially if, you don't have any reason to really start getting into that. It's okay to have a few ounces and things like that, but it's definitely not something that you need to jump head first in because you're going to miss the boat. And I think that's the way a lot of people kind of take it, that it's something that you're going to miss out on. You are not going to miss out on gold and silver. They will be around. They've been around since, the dawn of time. They'll be around till the end of time. It is what it is. But the interesting thing is, like I said, the way that people frame gold and silver to make it seem like, it's something that's, limited, and you're only going to be getting your, you're not going to be able to get your hands on it. None of those things are true. They haven't been true. They've never been true. If you want it, you'll be able to get your hands on it. If you have the assets to be able, the money to be able to purchase it, it's there for you. The pandemic was the greatest lesson, in that whole, thing being wrong. People could get their hands on gold and silver at a moment's notice. That was one of the few things that was just readily available, gold and silver bullion. I had no problem ordering from JM Bullion at Mix. It was there just like it always was. Toilet paper, paper towels, food, things like that. That was the issue. And that's the interesting thing. Like I said, these are the things that people go out and buy gold and silver for. Oh, I need to be protected from, the end of the world. I mean, that was a good dress rehearsal, depending on where you were, of what it's like when people start to panic and things just, are way out of the ordinary. And again, gold and silver, one of those things that just had no problem, just cruise just like normal. These are things that you want to think about, and you want to be real with other people who are thinking about getting into gold and silver, because the honest reality is it's definitely not for everyone. There is value to it in different aspects. Having, I guess, a physical asset, it's really good for saving money, because the more that you put into these kind of things, you kind of forget how much value is locked up in there. Whereas if you're seeing numbers on a screen, it makes it a lot easier. But also, make no mistake, you can actually lose large amounts of money with gold and silver. Again, because you're paying first and foremost the premium up front. Secondly, gold and silver price moves a lot. Again, you hear, oh, the price is going up, but you don't hear, the same token, gold and silver spot price falling 10%. If the stock market does that, people flip out. People are like, oh my God, I'm not gonna be able to retire. Stackers have tens of thousands of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars in gold and silver. Goes down by 10%, that's fine. Not worried about it. It's gonna keep going. It's crazy. It really is kind of crazy. I mean, I think about things like that. Like, obviously the housing market is another parallel that people can look at and say, oh, hey, it's been going up for quite a long time. It's overvalued, things like that. But I mean, even though it's overvalued, if it took a 30-40% drop, even if you on the house that you own, that would definitely rock the way that you looked at everything and the way that you looked at your own personal situation. But for some reason, with gold and silver bullion, stackers are just like, well, whatever, it's expected. It's kind of crazy that way. It's kind of It's actually kind of interesting. I think honestly, if people had the same mentality towards their stocks, towards crypto, towards whatever other mediums of investment, quote unquote, that they do towards silver, I think that's actually a good lesson that the stacking community could teach the general public at large. If you understand how investment works, it doesn't matter. I mean, normal investment. I'm not talking about super speculative, but just normal investments. They have an ebb and flow. There's crashes, there's booms, there's busts. It's the normal name of the game, but over the time you make money. The key is, don't make irrational decisions when, the market's crashing. Don't sell out of your stuff. Don't change your strategy because, the situation has changed. Unless you're in something crazy that's, going to go to zero. The market is not going to go to zero. If it does, again, Bezos, Musk, all these, Warren Buffett, all these guys are wiped out. It's not going to happen. Keep betting on it because it's a terrible bet. But these are the interesting things, like I said, like aspects of stacking that people don't talk about, people don't focus on, but it's key to know, because again, at the end of the day, the only thing you don't get back is that time, the effort, the money that you put into stacking. It can be to your benefit, but it's certainly not for everybody.